Hey, welcome to the Retirement Escapades of Ray and Carrie. My name is Ray, and this is my wife, Carrie. In 2022, Carrie and I retired from many years of work, sold everything that we have, and decided to spend the rest, or at least the next 5 or 6 years, traveling the world. And one question that we often get from people is, how can you afford to travel the world? Or, how much does it cost, to travel? And so this is going to be our very first time doing a travel budget video. And we're going to share with you some of the things that we've learned along the way and our budget coming up here in 2025. Planning a budget really for traveling is the key to success and the key to happiness when you travel. The more time you spend putting time into your budget, I really believe the happier you're going to be, and I believe the longer you're going to be able to live your life living on a very good set budget.
Yes. So how do we set up our budget for the year? Typically, we start with a template from the previous year, and in our actual budget from 2024 was $71,000.
That seemed like a lot. It seemed like a lot.
Yeah. Next, we determine where or what countries we want to visit. We almost always have a general idea of what region we want to go to. We're kind of planning 2 years in advance. We put out a Google Flight fare search already, and so by the time we get started our 2026 budget, we'll have a fairly good idea of what the rent costs will be.
Yeah. So I highly recommend that you do those little alerts that you get for Google Flights, because flights are changing all the time. And again, that's going to be up to you when you pull the trigger, so you can get the best deals possible when it comes to getting your flights. Now, like you said, we try to make our plans a year and a half, 2 years in advance, and for 2025, we plan on going to Egypt and Turkey. And we had a lot of our flights already paid for. We had some of our Airbnbs already paid for. And, with the turmoil that's going on in that region, then when we made the decision not to do it, we cut that out. We just said, we just can't do it. We just didn't want to take the risk of going over that time. We lost a little bit of money. When you do set up your budget, sometimes you just have to be flexible. Sometimes things change in the world and you're going to have to change with it.
In this video, we want to share with you how we determine our budget. We also want to share with you a few money saving ideas.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll discuss the items that take the most planning, which are our largest expense items. Things such as our rent, food, groceries, restaurants, our transportations, which includes our flights, buses, our trains, our rental cars, car repairs, gas, whether either out of a country in rental cars or back in the States, our allowance / discretionary budget items, which we'll explain why we have that a little bit later. And then also the incidentals, which are things like our cell phone, our streaming, our medical, and then finally we'll do our miscellaneous budget items. Number one is one of our larger ones, is our rent. But in 2025, our budget is $7,000, whereas in 2024, we spent $11,600. I mean, why is it so low this year compared to last year?
Well, $7,000 is low, but that's mainly because we are spending quite a bit of time with friends and family in the United States. And then even when we go to Europe, we have made some friends, and we get to stay in the Netherlands for free. We're going to do some dog sitting in Portugal for some friends of ours. Spike, yes. And then we'll visit Hyde in Norway for a week. And so that's why it's a little bit lower than before. Also, at the end of this year, I discovered something called Trusted House Sitters. And this is a dog pet sitting site that matches up dog owners who want to leave their home with people who need a place to stay that will take care of your dogs. And we're in the middle of doing our first sit, and we have another one in Boise, and that saves us quite a bit of money.
When you're planning your accommodations, we sort of have a general idea of where we're going, and then we start looking at those places, and we start looking at the Airbnbs or a hotel or a resort before finalizing our budget. Because again, no matter where you're staying, whether it be in Southeast Asia or you're going to be in Europe, those costs are going to fluctuate just a little bit. And then we go through all of our filters, especially if you do an Airbnb. You're going to want to make sure you get free cancellations, which is true. You're going to want to try to find super hosts. And then, what do you want? Do you want a kitchen, not want a kitchen? Do you want to make sure that you have a pool or not? There's a lot of things. So you go through the filter, find the places that best suits you and your lifestyle and what you want to do.
And remember, the longer you stay somewhere, the daily costs reduce with accommodations. A weekly rate total tends to even be less than 6 days. So
1 day makes a difference, you think?
1 day more, oftentimes you'll pay less.
Okay.
And the monthly rate is often the best rate of all. And that's why we try to stay in one place for at minimum a week, but oftentimes for a month at a time. And Airbnb and VBROs are not your only choice of places to stay. When we traveled to Southeast Asia, we stayed exclusively in resorts and hotels because they were very cost effective. And we didn't need a kitchen when we were in Southeast Asia because we found that eating out of the home was less expensive than buying groceries and bringing it into the home.
And some of that's trial and error. We really didn't know when we first went to Southeast Asia. We had Airbnbs all set up for several until we found out, that it was cheaper, to go into a resort because we normally travel, during low season. So you can get into a hotel or resort at low season for very minimal amount of money. And one little side note, when it comes to doing your resorts or you're going to do a hotel or points or anything like that, especially during low season, do not be shy about asking for an upgrade, especially if you're using like your Hyatt points or your Hilton points, because low season hotels aren't all booked up. So you just may get lucky and get yourself into a nice upgraded room for no additional cost. The second greatest expense that we have is our food, / groceries, and restaurants. Now, our budget for 2025 is $13,200, and what we spent in 2024 was $10,000.
Yeah, I felt it was important to raise. We were living very frugally, and we've decided that with our retirement accounts and Social Security and pension, we can raise the total a little higher. So that we could eat out in restaurants more often. Typically, we spend about $7,200, or we're planning to spend $7,200 for groceries and $6,000 a year for restaurants. We do try to cook and eat most of our meals at home, but we do want to make sure that we don't miss out on the local cuisine either. We really do love to entertain as well when we're traveling. Ray often will go on Facebook pages, the local Facebook page, and announce that we're in town and we want to meet friends, and we'll meet up maybe for a glass of wine or a beer at night, and then invite them to come over the next week for dinner. That's how we met our really special friends from the Netherlands right away when we were in Portugal, and they've introduced us to all kinds of other people. So making friends and having them in your home for a meal or a game night can be some of the best experiences that you can have.
The third largest expense that we have is our transportation. Now, our transportation budget for 2025 is $10,700, and in 2024 we only spent $9,400. Now, this transportation is fairly large. It includes our flights. Now, whether it be from the U.S. over to Portugal, but then we have some flights from Portugal to Germany, I think, and then we're going to try to determine the rest of our flights or buses and trains. We'll have buses that we may take from one country to another. We may do a train from one country to another. So everything's not all purchased except for our larger flights, because as time goes by, that may change. But I think we're pretty good with our budget right now. It also includes our car rentals and gas and things like that while we're here and while we're traveling.
Yeah, flights will probably run us about $3,000, but it could have been $4,000, except for we have $1,000 of credits on our Capital One Venture X card. I just applied for it a couple of months ago. We've already met our minimum spend, and so that will give us a good flight credit. We are planning on renting a car when we visit our son in Idaho. And then also when we go to Germany, because there's a lot of back roads that we want to take when we're in Germany. So we're going to be renting a car then. And then we also pay $1,200 a year for auto insurance.
Yeah, so even though we said we sold everything, we do keep a car in the States.
Yes, we do.
We keep it in Mesa, Arizona, where Carrie's folks live. Because we do like having the luxury of being able to have a car when we're back in the States. And then also, $1,000 goes to, those car repairs. We were traveling last year just to Denver, and our brakes went out, and one of the rotors went. And so, that was an unexpected cost. So if you do have, if you have a car or anything, yeah.
And we had to buy tires.
We had to buy tires. These were just things that we know wear and tear, but we didn't think about it because we were traveling so much. So we really didn't think about having to do car repairs when we weren't here. So that was number 3. Number 4 is our allowance and discretionary budget. Now, I don't see a lot of that on many travel budget videos that I've watched, but we really believe strongly in making sure that we have our own budget money. Now, our budget for 2025 now, don't gasp too much, is $16,000 for the year, which is about $8,000 each. In what we spent last year in 2024, we had a budget of $17,600. So let's sort of unpack that a little bit.
So Ray and I this has always worked for us well in our household. We've each had an allowance. Back when we first got married in 1984, we were each receiving $10 a week. Yeah, big money. And over time, up until we retired, in 2022, that amount had increased significantly. We like doing that because we each get our own money to spend any way we want. And therefore, we avoid a lot of arguments because we both get the same amount. So Ray tends to use his money for golfing, or he likes to go, no matter where we are in the world, you will find a local pub that has lots of TVs, so he can watch quite a few different sporting events at the same time and have a few beers, and he will do that 4 to 5 days a week, and he really enjoys that. I like spending my money more on books and puzzles and thrift stores and clothes and getting my nails done and those kinds of things. I'm not interested in what he likes to do. He's not interested in what I like to do, but it works for us because we get to each do what we want to do.
It's fair, it's something that we've always had. It's not, we travel, we do things, but we know that we're not going to be together 24/7.
No.
Some couples do that, and,
Right.
and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. We like to have different activities. I like to go golfing. She's not a golfer, like she said. So we have those little things that we have our own discretionary funds to do with. That doesn't mean we always spend it all. But we have it available if we want to.
Well, we do spend it.
We do, yeah.
Okay, right.
I spend it, okay, you're right. I spend it maybe a little bit quicker than she does, I also have to take this out of this, I have to take out my tattoo money because,
That's
every
true.
time I go to Portugal, I have to add the additional countries that I've gone to my favorite local tattoo artist, Mirabella, who's been fantastic getting my artwork done while I am there. Number 5, that's our discretionary stuff. Number 5 is our family fund budget. Now that is for 2025. It is $2,400, and then actually in 2024 we spent only $1,500.
Yeah. So while this discretionary money or allowance money is really great and it works really well, Sometimes I will want to do something as a couple, but if he's thinking he has to use his allowance money to do it, he doesn't want to spend it in that way. Same thing, vice versa, this works the same way. And so this money that we call family fun is for us maybe to do date nights, do things together. We'll buy tours off of Viator. We will buy hop-on, hop-off buses, and that comes from that fund. Also, when we visit our kids and grandkids, if we want to take one of our grandsons to see the latest movie, then it comes out of that fund. Or we want to do something special for our parents or something like that, it might come out of that fund. And this works well for us because it's not something we usually look at something and say, hey, let's go ahead and use our family fund money. Mm-hmm. More often than not, we always use that money up first, and so and then there might be other things that we still want to do, and we just have to agree, say, okay, well, it's going to have to each come out of our allowance, and that's how it works. So,
all right, the sixth item on our budget is the things that aren't always fun to talk about, but it's it's one of those necessities. It's our medical expenses for the year, and for 2025, our budget is $7,800, and what we spent last year was $6,600.
Yeah, and we anticipate spending $4,800 in this next year for medical insurance, or the medical insurance in the U.S. and travel insurance outside of the U.S. We budget an additional $3,000 for medical expenses for things like prescriptions, doctor visits. We try to get all of our physicals done when we're in Portugal. Mm-hmm. Dentist, Thailand was a great place for dentist work. Right. Eye doctors, contacts, and glasses. We are able to save a lot of money by getting our medical visits done in other countries.
Yeah, we've done that a couple times. We did it in Mexico, which was a great experience, down in Ensenada. We've done it a couple times in Portugal, getting our blood work done, urinalysis things, then getting all of our prescriptions that we need for most of them you can get the entire year, but you can at least get up to 6 months of prescriptions at very low cost. I only take one prescription, and that is for my high cholesterol. And in Portugal, I spent $47 for 6 months worth of my prescriptions. That was absolute home run. So, and you're going to have to set aside some money for those incidentals, things that happen that you're not prepared for. There are times when you fall or I twist an ankle, out on a golf course or something like that, which was an actual, we'll leave that alone. But, those things happen and you need to get checked up. So have some money set aside for those incidentals, because our insurance is really like major medical and travel insurance. It's not for those regular just checkups that we can pay $100 for, so. And then number 7, our budget here is really for our incidentals. And what we call our incidentals are our cell phone, our giving/charity donations that we do, streaming, our Christmas, annual credit card fees, things of that nature. And in 2025, we have a budget of $9,950, where an actual cost for 2024 was only $6,200.
Yeah, so for example, our Google Fi for phone service, we own our own iPhones, and we found out that Google Fi was the best option for us. We pay close to $88 a month while in the States, and $150 when we are traveling internationally. We love having service as soon as we land, and we love the convenience of maintaining our same phone numbers. So we like Google Fi. You can also pick up SIM cards at the airports, bus stations, and train stations. Now, the only caveat with Google Fi is if they notice after 60 to 90 days that you have not been going back to the States, they will cancel your international plan. You'll still have Google Fi, but they'll cancel your international plan.
Right.
And it's fine because normally after 60 to 90 days, we're very comfortable in the area that we're at.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to get SIM cards and
We like having the plan right when we get off the plane. That way our Google Maps work. We
Yes.
can get a hold of Ubers or Grabs or anything like that, right away. So that's the luxury of having an international plan on your phone right away. All right, the other thing in this category is our giving and donations to different charities. This is something we practice our entire married life. We continue to do that, and we'll continue to do so until I think the day we die. So that's part of this budget. We also have another $600 for streaming. We got $1,000 that we use for Christmas, and that was up a little bit from last year. So those are just some of the items that we have in that, plus our annual fees, which are how much?
$723 we pay in credit card annual fees. Truthfully, we get a lot from, we've been doing a lot of travel hacking and getting credit cards, and with every credit card comes perks and things. So we use our Southwest Visa card. It does cost us $69 in annual fees, but we use it a lot for most of our domestic travel. And a couple of months ago, we got the Capital One Venture X card. It does cost us $395 a year, which is the highest card, the most we've ever paid for a credit card. But that comes with a $300 travel credit. Plus, our favorite thing is that it gives you unlimited access to Priority Pass airport lounges. And that just saves us a ton of money. Ray likes to get to the airport super early, and I don't mind so much when I get to sit in an airport lounge with a cup of coffee and a croissant, and I'm reading my book or whatever, and he's watching sports on his on one of those TVs, it's good. So
it's so worth it. Yeah, like you said, we like to get there early. And it doesn't mean you get to use it all day long. There are limits on the time in which you can use them, and but it really has helped in a lot of ways. Because if you are at airports and you're traveling as much as we are, you're not it's hard. You're going to have to eat, and if you eat just not in one of the lounges, you're already going to spend $100 if you're going to get a Coke, a burger, or a beer and a burger or whatever. That one visit's going to cost you. I was going to say $100. We get all this. We get it unlimited. It doesn't mean the Priority Pass lounges are in every airport, but most of the airports we go to have them, and so we use those on a regular basis. Now, finally, our miscellaneous budget item for 2025 is $4,800, where in 2025 we only spent $4,265. Now, why is miscellaneous important? I think that the more time and effort you put into your larger items, the things that you're going to have a budget for, the less money you spend in miscellaneous. You need miscellaneous because there are those things that you just didn't account for or whatever, and you put it there. But I've seen people put, on their budgets, chips and Cokes, and went to 7-Eleven. This is their miscellaneous. Nope, that should be categorized, so your miscellaneous really should be things that, oh man, we just never really even thought we were going to have to spend money here. So we have a little miscellaneous fund that'll take care of most of those things that we don't have a budget set up for.
So in summary, our expenses, our budget for 2025 include $7,000 a year for rent, $13,200 for food, that includes groceries and restaurants. Transportation costs will run us about $10,700. Allowance or discretionary spending is $16,000. Our family fund budget is $2,400. And medical, which includes insurance as well as expenses, that's $7,800. Incidentals are $9,950. And then miscellaneous for $4,800.
Our total for the year is going to end up costing us $71,800. $850. Now look at when we first started, we thought we were going to live off around $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and again, we really tried, but we also stopped and started thinking a little bit more that, what, when it's all over, when our travel abroad is done, we just don't ever want to look back and regret not doing something or going somewhere. Now, that doesn't mean we're just going to open up the floodgates and just spend without a budget. We're not going to do that, but we are going to make sure that we enjoy as much of our travel as we possibly can. And so, for 2025, we're excited about it, and we're excited about what's going to happen in 2026 as well. We just want to say, thanks for watching our video, watching our channel. We hope that you can subscribe to our channel, push the like button, push the notification button, send us some comments. I love the feedback. I've been getting some feedback here this past week on our Cortera video, but just do that one. Yeah.
I would like to know, when are you planning on retiring? Let us comment. Let us know. When are you planning on hoping to retire?
Yeah, because we were fortunate enough. We retired early. And I was 59. She was 61. And so we're enjoying our early life retirement and traveling. And so again, we thank you so much for watching. And as always, keep dreaming and travel safe.